And boom, welcome. This is Tokyo Tonight. My name is Hikosaemon. I am still in New Zealand at the moment. I know last week, this house is on a Starlink connection, which means that although we actually get surprisingly fast internet, I've been playing Star Wars and watching YouTube and stuff, the connectivity does drop out every now and then when it's connecting to new satellites and stuff like that. And I think that was what was causing the gaps that were happening in the video last week. So instead of that, I'm going to do this differently this week. I am recording this probably about an hour before I post it. So I'm going to record it on the local computer here. Hopefully it works with the software. I don't know if this is working over the internet, if this is going to make it have the same video dropouts or not, but hopefully I think this is recording a local version of this. And if it does that, the video will be smooth. Plus I can post this. And then I can join you in the comments when I post this live, which I'll do at the end of this. But this is the last show for 2024. If I was more organized and not having such a great time in New Zealand, I would have gone back over all the stories for 2024. But instead, I'm here. I'm using the microphone built into the camera there. This is currently all AI focused on me. But if I hold that still, you can see my view over there, which is beautiful. I've got the house is right in front. I can't actually go into the water here. It's kind of a forbidden lake. But it's a spectacular view. We've had a beautiful day, 27 degrees here today. So beautiful New Zealand weather. I've been running, jumping in the pool, doing all that stuff. So enjoying Christmas as it was supposed to be celebrated, of course, in the middle of summer. That's the way I grew up with winter. Commiserations to people in colder locations at the moment, but this is where I am. So yeah, and also, I've been here with my son. I've been doing, as you saw, I posted on Instagram. We went up to the top of New Zealand, up to Cape Reinga, and that was really, really great. This week's been probably a bit quieter. We've had a lot of guests and family over at the house, so it's been pretty quiet. But yeah, at the same time, it's also been busy. I haven't really been reading news or posting on Twitter, which is probably a healthy thing. It's good to get away from that at the end of the year. But that said, I do enjoy doing this with all of you at this time of year. And so I did go onto Twitter today. I went and just looked through my feeds to find what I thought were the most interesting stories this week. I just picked up a few of them, which I'm going to talk about. Of course, I don't have the interaction here, but I will join you in the comments live so I can actually comment and make fun of my own face along with the rest of you while we're all watching together. So that'll be fun. The other thing I'm also thinking to do is I might actually just record a mix after this. I'll announce the show, record a mix in between, and then I'll be able to post both. That might be maybe too clever. We'll see how we go with that. But I'll do the after party and post that onto our Tokyo Digital Crew because I haven't done that all week. I thought I'd been doing nothing but DJing and playing music and stuff like that. But no, I've actually been spending time with my son and eating great food and getting sunburned and doing all this other stuff that you should be doing at Christmas time because Christmas is a summer. It's just like Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Summer is the Christmas season. That's how it works for me. Hope that you're all having a great end of year. Of course, New Year's coming up, which is a big deal in Japan. It's going to be 2025 when I see you. Maybe that's something that I should talk about. We'll get to that at the end. What we all think about what's coming up in 2025. But and how was 2024? Maybe you should talk briefly about that. 2024 was an interesting year. I haven't really prepared any thoughts about this at all. But no, I've it's been sort of chugging along. A lot of stuff going on in my own personal life and so on, which is pretty much all good stuff. But really happy, I must say, to be here in New Zealand on such a long trip with my son at the end of the year, which is great. No, it's been not many complaints all in all about 2024. It's been a good year. I'm always an optimist, a delusional optimist that things will get better. The AI stuff has really been the story this year for me. It's just gotten so crazy. I've been working with AI since 2027 or so, but it's really, really gotten crazy lately. Just thinking with the sunset happening behind, I may just flash over to show you the ongoing sunset little sections through the show. I wonder if you can look at the comments there. Some lights on in front of me, but not a proper lighting setup. But hell, that's all part of the fun. But anyway, yeah. So, like I said, the AI stuff has gotten crazy. I am working with it. I am personally optimistic that we're all going to be able to do whatever we want and have our own little individual companies including like this YouTube channel and things that I want to do, be able to run them actually like our own businesses with AI. I was listening to a Rakesh Patel podcast today, talking with the guy who was just sort of giving his predictions and basically saying that, yeah, people will just basically, if you have an idea for a company, you won't need to hire a whole bunch of people and have a whole lot of capital. You just need to have a bunch of virtual AIs running around doing all the stuff for you. It's going to be how a lot of businesses are going to run. But having everything automated isn't going to work. It still is going to be dependent on having the human taste aspect of guessing what people need and what they like. It's like, ice cream, AI can make 1,000 flavors of ice cream, but only you're going to know which flavors you like and what flavors other people like you will like. And that's where the human element of being able to sort of curate and make those sort of personalized choices, that's very hard. I mean, to automate, touch wood on that, because of course someone's probably going to find a way. But at the moment, that's where, you know, AI will be able to do anything, but if you try to just have it do generic things, all the AIs will think of the same things, and there won't be. But be able to differentiate and having a good idea yourself, and hell, we've got this little community and so on, and we have our own ideas of things that we like, and that's the sort of thing that I'm looking forward to, getting into more and more. I'm very lucky to be in a position, even though I'm a lawyer, not a technical person. I'm in a tech company, and I get the opportunity to actually see a lot of this stuff up close early. So I'm really excited about that for 2025. And a lot of, family stuff, some more travel coming up, which I'm looking forward to. Again, I'll probably announce that as it comes. But yeah, it's been a good year, and I think there's going to be a good year ahead because I'm an optimist, and that's just how I think. So let's get into the topics that I have anyway. It'll probably be a shorter show. But final topics, 2024, what have we got? Korea just continues to go crazy. By the way, I saw the news today about the air crash in Muan. Like a day, people saying that might have been a bird strike, but there again, that Azerbaijani airplane that got hit by three SAM rockets, it seems, over Grozny and crashed in Kazakhstan. They also blame bird strike for that. Given how crazy things have been in Korea this year, it probably was just birds. It's really sad that it happens anywhere at any time at all, let alone the day after kind of crash like that happened in Russia. But yes, the continuing drama coming out of Korea, and just how crazy, how absolutely insane it was that how anyone could think it's a good idea. Your only job when you're the president of a company, of a country, or you're the military of a country, what's your number one thing that you're supposed to do, and number one thing you're not supposed to do? Number one thing you're supposed to do is whatever's best for the country, and the number one thing you're not supposed to do is attack it. And that's what the military, I mean, again, it's a sad thing. In Myanmar, there's a bunch of countries where militaries do exactly that, where they suddenly think that their own citizens are their biggest enemies. And this happened again. And well, in a way, fortunate perhaps that the Korean military didn't really follow through. They didn't really like their orders, it seems. But, there were people in the military who, were planning to go and do a full attack on South Korea, including trying to provoke a war with North Korea with drones and so on, in order to create a martial law pretext. They were literally looking to start a war against South Korea in order to seek power. I mean, what kind of military do you have if number one rule of any military is don't attack yourself. So anyway, Korea's gone batshit crazy, which means almost inevitably that the left wing, that the opposition is going to take over in Korea, which inevitably means it's already, the rhetoric right now is so crazily anti-Japanese again. You'd think it's 1935 and the other partisans still fighting against Japan. And the swing after great relations, just turns out the guy was an asshole, but unfortunately, but after having great relations with South Korea for a couple of years now, the backlash is going to be harsh. And yes, rough seas ahead for Japan-Korea ties after Yoon's martial law muddle. Yes. All the when in the impeachment articles of impeachment against the president, they cited his good relations with Japan as one of the many reasons to hang the guy, basically. And the opposition is going to get in. So things are going to be rough between Japan and Korea. I'm not jazzed about that. I want Japan and Korea to have good relations, and I don't want it to be dependent on whether it's a left-wing or right-wing party in power. But we're in for a negative swing, and you're going to see a lot of more stories of dramas over territorial disputes, history, apologies. All that stuff's going to start all over again, and it's going to be very unpleasant. But that is what it is. That's just pretty much, Korea's just locked in that cycle at the moment. It's not just Japan that gets that, but everything else. Yeah, moving on. Reverse order. So this is going back a week. Unseen Japan. Most of these are from Unseen Japan. Actually, they're an excellent website, and they are local journalists. They have a Patreon. I recommend. So I follow. I support their Patreon. You're supporting foreigners who live in Japan who write great content, not just about Japan, but about current news and stuff, but even like history and stuff like that. Their YouTube channel is excellent. So some people don't like their politics. Some people didn't like the name of the website when it came out, but I find they're great. So most of the stories that I've picked out are highlights from them, including this is in Akasaka, which is where I do kickboxing. So maybe I should go find this. There's an Akasaka, not a Saksa. Some people get those mixed up. This is an Akasaka. There's a Karaage, a fried chicken restaurant that lets you eat all you can eat. The catch that they're highlighting, spoiler alert, um, ads. I suppose people have to eat, don't they? Do not scroll up again on the live feed. The catch is you have to eat everything within 30 minutes. It costs 1,100 yen, and you can eat as much karaage as you like in 30 minutes, to which most places have 90 to 2 hour time limits. They have a 30-minute time limit. That said, I think I know some people who speak English as a first language who might accept that challenge and put this place out of business. That is my fear. Sharing news about this all-you-can-eat karaage place in English may well be the very end of that business as a viable business. But quick break. Let's go. Beautiful. Can we get that? It wants to focus on the exposure. Camera, which is a star-lapse mode. I think it's too cloudy tonight. Last night, you can see the Milky Way here. Like I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm in Karaage in the far north. You can look it up in a map. It's in the top of New Zealand, which, by the way, because the toilets flush the opposite way here in the southern hemisphere, it means that the north is the warm part. We're in the sunny, warm part of New Zealand, as things go. It's much warmer in Australia, of course, but yeah, it's still very nice here. And quite a remote part. There's a town nearby, but it's where I'm in a farming area, so the skies, you can see the Milky Way, like boom, going across. You can see the Pleiades, the Seven Sisters. You can see all the stars in it. It's crazy, just outside my window. When I was a kid, and I lived up in the Mordor, basically in the central plateau of the North Island, I would go to sleep with the curtains open and my face pressed up against the window, just watching the stars, looking for shooting stars and stuff like that. Often waking up with a cold and with ice covered all over the windows because the houses were so badly insulated, and it was a really cold part of the country that we were living in. Yeah, which is also where they shot Mordor for Lord of the Rings. But it's like that. Last night I opened the curtains and just put the bed up against the window and slept with the window open, staring at the stars. It's amazing here. And you can get a star lapse with the Insta360 action camera I use for running. You leave it outside, and it'll take one of those time lapses where you can see the rotation of the Earth, which I want to do one of these nights. Tonight's not going to be the night because it is a little bit too cloudy, but that's some spectacular weather here. But I digress. Fried chicken. This is what you come here for, isn't it? It's the squirrels. The fried chicken and squirrels. Fried squirrels. So anyway, they have excellent chicken. I hope that no chicken-loving competition eaters find this place in Akasaka. If they do, please disregard all the information I have just shared with you on the show that was shared in English. I did say I'm not sure about sharing this information in English on Blue Sky, to which Unseen Japan responded to me and said, oh no, they'd appreciate the business. So go, you're doing them a favor. Seriously, Japanese fried chicken, you can't go wrong with that stuff. And do support Unseen Japan. They're a great channel. Yeah, on Blue Sky. You know what? I should actually just do this as a Blue Sky thing. Will it show it if I do it this way? Because I was putting more interesting comments. There's more space for comments. And you know what? Honestly, all the cool people now, Twitter is dead. Even when I posted this evening, I got 29 responses on Blue Sky and like 6 responses on Twitter. And all these accounts that I really like are all here. So from Unseen Japan, the woman who runs the Karaage place would welcome the business. You went there after writing this. It was tasty. Great deal for the price. So they're responding minutes after I post. Seriously, all the cool kids really are on Blue Sky. I've got like 15,000 followers on Twitter, so I'm going to stay active there. But I get more action on Blue Sky. That sounds like a more ringing endorsement than I meant it to be. But, oh, God. Get away. Here we go. Computer screens popping up. But anyway, so okay, you saw it here first. I'm now officially switching from using X uh, to do Tokyo Tonight to doing Blue Sky. You saw it here. I chased a squirrel and it took me to Blue Sky. So, yeah, one of the rules for the president military to follow, attacking your own country, seems like an easy one not to break. Akita, my headline on this is, Akita has no time for your shit. Let's go back over here. Oh, let's just go back here then. Apparently, so there were a couple of incidents. I might have mentioned this on the news, how there were a couple of incidents of a bear trapped in a supermarket and bear getting into someone's home. Japan has a lot of bears, black bears. I think they are little black bears, and they're not that little and they're not that there. And you don't want to mess with them at all. And they are everywhere. Japan is a very mountainous country. Akita is famous for bears. So when they caught this bear that was, inside, they electrocuted this bear and sterilized it, not sterile. It's a bit aggressive. No, they tranquilized it and they got this bear. So a lot of people saying, well, give it a pat on the head and take it out into the country and release it back into the wild. But after all of that effort, they decided, nah, let's just shoot it. And a lot of people called up and complained to the Akita prefectural government. You shouldn't have shot the bear. You should have released it back into the wild. It's a confused, helpless, terrified animal. To which the governor said, hey, if you want, we can bring it over to your house. Let it. So the headline here is really that Akita governor says he had threatened to send bears to people's homes. He said that as soon as he suggested sending the bears to their homes and how if they would be so in favor of not euthanizing the bears at that point. My headline that they should have used is Akita has no time for your shit. Certainly, don't mess with bears. Don't mess with Akita. A lot of good lessons there. A new story from Itai News pointing out one of the weeklies has a big story that two of the LDP's biggest backers, NTT, got basically taking 100 yen to the dollar, which it is not, it's like 156 at the moment. But in terms of how New Zealand dollars are about 100 to 1 at the moment. So in New Zealand dollars, NTT Group got $1.3 billion worth of contracts, and Fujitsu got $700 million worth of contracts on the My Number system, which has been somewhat of a bumpy road with getting the My Number social security number system implemented in Japan. But the main beneficiaries of this just coincidentally happen to be the biggest donors towards the LDP. So yes, perhaps not a surprise there, but that is a thing that happened. Yeah, from my perspective as well on this, again, if you work in IT in Japan, you know that Fujitsu, NEC, Hitachi, NTT Group, trying to think, feel like I'm missing one or two, but those are really the big ones. They really do dominate all of government IT, corporate IT, and for all the sort of maybe getting a little bit too close to home, but for all the, look at competition and, big tech and so on and GAFA and all these sorts of things. Japan has had problems with competition in IT for a long time with its own domestic companies, which really shows that it really is more a concern of foreign companies taking Japanese business than anything else, which is fair enough. But, again, when you want to know who's got the inside running on these contracts that a lot of people think aren't needed, you can sort of see. I mean, again, you could say at least they didn't go to Hitachi and NEC, but they've got tons of big contracts as well. So not surprising there. Another great Unseen Japan article here, just summarizing, there was a report that was put out, a survey that was put out by Daito Construction on the happiness index by which ward of Tokyo and by which train station in Tokyo, as well as which places people most want to stay the same in, more to remain in terms of, honestly, these pretty much align the same. If you like where you live, generally you want to stay there. So there weren't too many surprises there. The real headline of this is going through the results is Minato City, the Beverly Hills of Tokyo. Money buys you happiness seems to be the lesson here. The number one ward in Tokyo that people are happy in is Minato, which is probably because, if you have a bathtub like Scrooge McDuck and you're diving into the sort of, vault full of gold coins, you're spitting out, gold as you dive into the bathtub. That's pretty much, you'll be happy. Median income of $71,000, which actually isn't all that much, but by Japanese standards, it's going pretty well. ritzy areas such as Azabu, which is home of Sailor Moon. There's some information I didn't want to know. Shirokane Takanawa, the fancy one, and Roppongi. Well, not everywhere's perfect. What can we say? But that's right. Basically, Minato, the harbor district, but certainly the inner city rich people's district. And the number one train station that people want to remain in is Daikayama, which is also a really fancy, actually much nicer. It's a single train station, of course. I've got a friend who was working as an investment banker, and he lived in Daikayama, and it was great. We had some pretty good parties there. But yeah, other wards that people like living in, if you're looking for places, where are we? Happiness Index by train station was Daikayama as well. But in terms of the happy wards in Tokyo, coming behind Minato with Chuo, which I think has a lot of tax breaks and so on, Bunkyo, Meguro, and Mitaka. And I've been in a bunch of those. Mitaka is a city, not a ward, of course. But yeah, those are the places to be in Tokyo. The key headline here is, can you hear that noise? That's a kiwi. That's a kiwi. It's an endangered bird, the symbol of New Zealand. There's a reserve right beside our property, which I'm not allowed into. I'm not allowed into the lake or the next door. But during sunset, the kiwis are waking up because they're nocturnal birds. And maybe you could hear that. That was a kiwi squawking. It's a horrible sound. I thought kiwis made like little bubbling noises or something. I didn't know what sort of noise. I thought they sounded like cats purring or something, but no, they make like shrieking noises. But that was a kiwi. So they're waking up. Hey, kiwis. I can give you a bit of the sunset action here. It's getting darker. Yeah, this camera is designed to make everything look bright, even when there's no light. But it is getting dark, as you can tell, because I'm probably getting a little bit more, I don't know, the colors of the lights are coming off me a bit more now. I do have a bit of a tan as things go. I've got a bit of a tan, more of a sunburn. It's going to fall away soon, but there you go. Anyway, money can buy you happiness is the conclusion. Moving on, Tokyo's domestic tourism languishes due to costs and crowding. What they're talking about here is that, now that we're paying basically foreign hotel costs, hotels costing 3 or 4 times as much as they normally do, and travel costs costing more, and you can't book anything because 38 million tourists are here in Japan this year. 3.3 million, I think, in the last month. You can neither get a booking for any of the nice places to go or the famous places to go to, nor can you afford it, even if you can get a booking. That said, there is a problem that I've heard people talking about on Langley Esquire. It was summed up very well that Japan doesn't have a tourism problem or an over-tourism problem. It has a tourism management problem, that all the tourists are not being directed and managed. They're just going to the famous places. They're going to, Kyoto and the Silver Shrine and the Gold Pavilion, and they're going to Akasaka, and they're going to, the famous sort of stops. They're looking at Mount Fuji. And, Japan is full, top to bottom, of excellent places to go for travel. So there's an opportunity for those places that are more out of the way, I think, to capture some of that business that they weren't getting before. Yeah, the trying to compete. Unfortunately, the foreigners are getting, the foreign tourists, mainly because the yen is so weak right now, a lot of people are just canceling. Certainly overseas travel is completely out of the question, but even domestic travel destinations are starting to have international prices, which is making it challenging for Japanese tourism. But like I say, I think there's a great opportunity there, especially if you've got a YouTube channel in Japan showing where domestic people go, the secret spots that haven't been discovered by foreign tourists, of which there are many. There are some great channels for this sort of thing as well. Off the top of my head, currently Hannah, I think, has a great channel that features great tourism in Japan. Abroad in Japan, I mean, of course, it's like recommending, Mr. Beast or something like that by Japan standards, but he does great sort of coverage of travel and stuff like that. Arisha in Tokyo, I don't think she's posted much lately, but she posts great travel stuff when she does. There's a few other channels like that. I think there's a huge channel for, the sort of out of the way tourism, and probably following where the domestic tourists are going is a great way to do that. Yeah, of course, not easy to be looking for a domestic trip at the moment. Everything does cost more, and it's hard for people like me that are earning money in yen. Another reason I'm glad to be here in New Zealand enjoying summer is back in Japan. It looks like the flu, as well as there's a pneumonia mycoplasma going around, as well as flu at the moment, which are reaching now pandemic levels at the time that people are doing their end of year parties and New Year parties. So there are already recommendations going out, like apparently it's affecting Borninkai are getting cancelled everywhere. Like end of year parties are getting cancelled because of the fear of flu. So some people saying it's almost like the corona pandemic all over again, with cancellations of businesses, and calls for people taking steps like wearing masks to not catch it. Certainly, don't be social, but take care, of course. Get your shots is another one. The old flu shots, as far as I know, they don't have microchips, or if they do, they might help you just get through passport security faster. I don't know how it works, but I always took the shots, and I'm fine, other than I chase squirrels a little bit too much. Do that. A Johnny scandal that doesn't involve Johnny or chasing men. I've given my opinions on SMAP. I know that I'm known as someone who snaps over topics like butter, but I also snap over SMAP. And in particular, SMAP, who I love, Japan's national treasure idol group, also a member of Johnny's, also with multiple members. Pretty much now, so they were outed a while ago as having been like molested and had all sorts of horrible stuff happen. And it would probably be bad taste for me to say that the worst thing to happen to SMAP is that Nakai started singing. But I've given my opinions on SMAP, in particular, how they've always had this thing where Korean music has been successful globally because they train military style dancing and singing. They have these amazingly talented artists who can compete on the international stage. They've got great rhythm, and they sing in perfect pitch, and they move. It's just amazing. They're like a CG animation how good they are singing and dancing in Korea. Whereas Japan, they've always gone for the old idol model of being accessible and attainable and boy next door or whatever. So they'll get an idol group with the standout good-looking ones or standout good at singing ones, but they'll also have a bunch of mediocre people in the middle to make them seem like it could be you, or it could be your next-door neighbor, or they could be someone desperate enough to go out with you, or something like that. And SMAP had this problem that, between, Katori Shingo and, Kimutaku and all those, when they're too much good-looking, too much talent, to just, they just seemed too remote from people. They needed to counterbalance. So rather than just having a group of average people, which would be the normal strategy, they just decided to put all their lack of talent and bad singing into one person. And on top of that, somewhere along the line, around the time I came to Japan, they started calling the ugly one who can't sing the band's leader, and he started like acting like a dickhead about it, like, hey, and he would talk about in interviews like, I used to not be confident whether it was okay for me to be here, and then I realized, hey, I'm SMAP, I'm the boss, you have to do what I say. I'm watching this interview, it's like, you don't even deserve to be in this group. And anyway, so Nakai has had to pay for an undisclosed reason, but something relating to an incident involving man v woman trouble. I assume we mean in some sort of biblical definition. He has had to pay a massive settlement. The settlement that he had to pay does not sound big by American standards, because it's not like he had coffee spilt on him or anything like that. But he probably did something a bit like what Johnny did, and he had to pay $500,000 US, which is a lot. Remembering that there was a journalist who was raped and was awarded $21,000, he had to pay 25 times that. As part of the settlement, it doesn't come out exactly what he did or what he's paying for. And perhaps it's bad taste for me to suggest I'm entitled to payment because I had to listen to him throwing SMAP off key for decades. I mean, some of my favorite songs, his solos and his like breaking of the group harmonies were bad enough, but it seems like he did even worse to this lady who at least got paid for it than he did to just singing in general. And I don't know, I continue to not be a fan, if you hadn't noticed. So there's a thing. Japan's prime minister, apparently Ishiba, who has had one of the shortest honeymoons. In fact, he had pretty much zero honeymoon. He literally had a honeymoon of one day after the internal party election before he started breaking promises and giving up and changing his mind and not punishing the corrupt people that got the last prime minister laid off. So people were already disapproving him, majority almost, as soon as he became prime minister. He had the short, I've never seen a honeymoon. Even Taro Aso, even Yoshiro Mori, I think, had more of a honeymoon than Ishiba. And I don't think Ishiba is necessarily a bad person, but he is an idiot. And for that, I suppose, sweep the leg, no mercy. Um, he's, but there again, he doesn't do himself any favors. When he goes to APEC and he meets leaders from APEC, he's, sitting down, hey, kiss the ring, everybody. And, there's been a few just faux pas that he's done. He gave a press conference where he said he feels like the job is much harder than it used to be as PM, and no one appreciates how hard it is being him. Um, and yeah, he's feeling worn down, and he's the leader of the LDP. How sorry are we supposed to feel for him? You're in charge of the world's third biggest economy. Buck up. You signed up. You've achieved your life goal. I think it's more that thing. It's like it's like the golden ticket. You get to go to the Willy Wonka factory, and you steal some chewing gum, and you blow up into a ball, and you have to get rolled out to be squeezed by Oompa Loompas. I think that's pretty much the scenario here at the moment. He just wishes he hadn't got what he asked for. And the final story that I've got, not such a big one, a Japanese city. Which city is it, actually? In fact, Kiwi's going crazy there. I love it. Those are an endangered bird, national symbol. I've never seen a kiwi. They only come out at night. They're about the size of chickens. They basically eat worms. They can't fly. They hide in the bush at night. But we they're our bald eagle. They're what we look up to as New Zealanders. But they make a crazy sound. So that is actually really cool. I like that. Where are we at? Which city is it? Kuwana City in Mie Prefecture is going to fight customer harassment. And when we talk about customer harassment, the cases that they're giving are like pensioners who are getting in trouble with the city council for not paying their bills, coming in and physically attacking city workers. And yet they're still protecting these people. I mean, granted, not from criminal prosecution. That guy was sent straight to jail, as he should be. But they're now saying that we will do worse than put you in jail. We will say what your name is. Sounds like cats, honestly, kind of cats in heat. That's pretty much the sound of Kiwis. Beautiful, yeah. Well, what can I say? New Zealand doesn't really have. We don't do animals like Australia, but we have the humping cats, at night that eat worms and live in the dark. So we try. But anyway, Kuana, if you go there. Japanese really do value privacy. This is why Japanese social media profiles have like dogs on them as their profile photos and numbers for names and so on. They value their privacy, and Kuwana says they're going to break your wa totally. They are going to, they're going to become the Florida man. There's a thing I heard it, by the way. The reason there are so many Florida man stories is not so much that Florida is insane. It is. But not just that. There's a particular law in Florida which just makes it. There's all court cases are public record there, and so it's like it's free fodder for newspapers there. They can just publish the facts of local low scale trial news, and where they'll just say Florida man does this or whatever. And whenever you're looking, it's low hanging fruit for the newspapers there. They can just look through the columns and find the most interesting court cases, whereas other states in America just don't publish that much court news. So it's more that they're more open about all the crazy shit that happens there. Kuwana, I guess, is volunteering to be the Florida of Japan, which I hope it knows what it's getting into about that. But there again, if you're being an asshole, you deserve it. You deserve it. I don't know why it's done more often, given that it is a very powerful way of actually policing stuff in Japan. People often get up in arms like this way about rubbish separation and so on as well. So yeah, it's getting chilly here. This is the thing about New Zealand, 27 degrees Celsius during the day, which is about 85, I guess. It's actually pleasant. It's not too hot. But at nighttime, it gets down to 13, which if I remember my old math correctly, that would make it 13 degrees Celsius. So that is multiplied by 2 and add 37. So 13 is 26 plus 37. God, that's like 60 at night. Kiwis are going crazy there. It's awesome. So I'm going to put on a top. Anyways, 60 and it's windy at the moment. And I'm sitting outside, so I don't bother everybody because it's 9 p.m. and everyone's asleep in New Zealand. So good night Kiwi time. We used to actually have a Kiwi when we'd end the TV show for the night on the two channels that we had when I was a kid. Good night Kiwi. So we've got real good night Kiwis here. It's kind of awesome. But I've been going to sleep at 10 o'clock. I go to sleep at like 1 in Japan. But yeah. By the way, Jersey, Moana Pacifica. It's a Tongan and Samoan rugby team based in South Auckland, which is where I was born. And it's just a cool jersey. That's pretty much it. I am going to do a DJ set now. I'm going to also, hopefully, geez, I hope this recording wasn't done over the internet and huge chunks have dropped out. We'll see how this goes. But I've recorded this. Hopefully it's online. So I'm going to post this. I'm going to be here in the comments, keeping your company, making fun of my face along with the rest of you. And wishing everybody, really appreciate you guys keeping me company all year, and really looking forward to another year of just keeping up with what's going on in Japan and complaining about butter and the state of the world. And yeah, it's just I really I've been doing this for 15 years, and I really like I say, I enjoy it enough that I think I would do it if I was doing it on my own, but I'm not. You're here, and that's what really makes it worthwhile. And it's funny, I come, my parents watch it. I come and I find out they're lurking, and that's it. Not only the people who I appreciate, of course, all the people who comment all the time, but I appreciate the lurkers as well. Do leave a comment. I do appreciate. It's great to see that who's watching and where you all are. It's exciting to me, actually, especially when I find out that these people have been lurking for a long time. And sometimes I just run into you and meet you. Also, remember that when you come to Japan, I'm off for lunch. I have found. I think I have a pretty good class of we've got good people who follow this. Like I say, I like to think of my face as a bit of a filter for crazy people. At least it's worked pretty well so far. All the people I've met who ever watched this show, you can meet up for lunch. I've found you all to be really, really cool. So if you're ever in Tokyo, hit me up. Lunch on a weekday is the easiest deal, because weekend is our home time, with the lad. But even then, whatever works. But would love to meet some more of you during 2025. Actually, I am remembering now as well. I've been thinking about doing some sort of a meetup at some point. Maybe when Victor's in Tokyo, maybe might do a meetup. Down a couple of little bars I could set up. I could even DJ a set or do something like that, and do, it might be fun to do again. Something a bit low key and more centered around the folks who watch this channel. 2.5 Voyages. People are asking about 2.5 Voyages. In touch with Victor. Victor's in Florida. Victor is a Florida man right now. I'm a New Zealand man. When we're back in Japan, we will do a 2.5 Voyages. I think we missed one that we were supposed to do in December, but don't worry, that's coming. We're still actually in touch every day, so we will do that. And lots to look forward to in 2025. I think, for the world is always, the news is always focused. I share the news with you, and the news is generally showing how the world is, going to hell. But I think on the whole, actually, the world is getting more interesting and better. And if it's not, well, if it's going to, we'll deal with it when it comes, right? But hope you enjoyed the sunset with me. Now it's getting dark. I'm going to figure out how to do a DJ set here, which I'm going to record offline and mix the music. I might actually do that. I'll figure out how to do that. I'm going to post this an hour from now. I'm going to record a mix in the meantime, and I'll join you in the comments, probably sitting rugged up in bed. So looking forward to that. Have a good one, everybody. Have a great end of 2024. Come and join me again next year, 2025, 1 week from now. And subscribe, do all that good stuff. Leave me a comment, because I do appreciate it. And I'll see you all, boom, very soon. Peace. Ending the recording.